everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we have a report for a match between Kirai and Zoraida. We are playing on corner deployment with our strategy as Raid the Vaults. Our scheme pool is Protected Territory, Deathbeds, Deliver a Message, Information Overload, and Sweating Bullets. My opponent chose to take Deathbeds off of their scrap markers and Deliver a Message, whilst I took Deliver a Message and Protected Territory. Personally, I think that these two are some of the easiest to score in this GG. In this matchup, I decided to take my all-reliable Kirai 2 list, as she enjoys vaults a lot. Therefore, I took Kirai 2, Envoy of the Court, with the Whisper upgrade, her totem, Ikiryo, the alternate Datsue bar, Binh Nguyen, or Bing Bong, a pair of Goryo, 2 Gwisin with Grave Spirit's Touch, and a pool noodle. Seishin. 5 stones remaining for me to use in this game. I like this list as it can operate in a bubble or spread apart, and is very balanced in terms of defense, speed, and power. My opponent is trying out a new master in Zoraida today, and is bringing a puppet-focused list with a Halloween twist. They have Zoraida 1, Hinamatsu, the alternate Bad Juju, the Bedeviled Kettle, the alternate Will-O-Wisp, the Kinderbaum, the alternate Ads, the Oberling, the Grootslang, and Vasilisa. They also had 5 stones to play with. They then take initiative going into turn 1, and the Kinderbaum starts pulling Zoraida up the board with a lure. I then swirl spirits 3 times to spring my crew up the field and ready to pounce on as many objectives as I can. The Grootslang teleports to one of his dens in a nearby bush, and Hinamatsu is obeyed to join him, while putting a big dent in my Ikiryo and discarding my terrible hand for me. Nice. My pool noodle then guides his friends to join him as Ikiryo wounds the Grootslang but fails to do serious damage. Bing Bong guides the forgotten Goryo up to catch him. Zoraida's summoned Toad then goes and kills themselves for a card as my Gwisin move themselves into position for turn 2. Incorporeal is really helping me with the unpack here as I move through terrain. The Ads dashes up the field to claim the far objective, while my Goryo takes to the melee with the slang, Hinamatsu and Ikiryo. The Kettle then manoeuvres themselves into position, while Vasilisa summons a red cap off of the scrap left behind by the dead Toad. Turn 1 over, and both ready for a brawl near the middle 2 objectives. As turn 2 dawns, I cheat for initiative to make sure I can deal some damage with Ikiryo. Sensing I could lose them this turn, and in case they get murdered, I then decide I'm going to punch an irreducible claw-sized hole through her armour, chunking her down halfway. My opponent patiently responds by dragging Mamazi forwards into a commanding position, and then, seeing an opportunity arise, I swirl spirits off of Kirai to pull my pool noodle and Goryo up near Ikiryo, and then sunder the Grootslang twice for a mighty 7 damage. The Slang then slams the Goryo for a damage, but doesn't really like the recoil from Vengeance, and then slinks back to a nearby lair off the trigger. My Noodle then guides the Goryo on a chase for the beast, and the series of activations nearby help channel the healing towards the injured Ikiryo through Kirai's Anchor to Reality. My opponent then decides to ensorcel the Kinderbaum with Zoraida to lure their allies forwards before throwing out a poisoned fate on the Gwisin to limit my cheating, somehow passing their terror check on a 3. 8 willpower is indeed mighty. They then obey my Gwisin to charge my wide Goryo, clipping for a damage, and then summoning the frog again, putting the upgrade on the Goryo. My tool Goryo then skirts through the strap marker via his ghostly nature to apply the finishing blow to the Grootslang, who happen to be my opponent's Deliver the Message target. Ouch. The ghostly boy then sets a scheme for protected territory over the line. The Red Cap then attacks their own frog to deal damage to the wide Goryo through the upgrade, and the kettle then mud tosses the Kinderbaum out of the way to sort out their traffic jam in the middle. My wide Goryo goes up to contest the center point swarming with enemies and kills off the frog, is unable to assist Bing Bong in removing the Kinderbaum. My opponent cheats to avoid me summoning off a chained spirit here, as Vasilisa then takes an unneeded detour to assist the Oberling in the corner, which might prove costly later on. Bing Bong then sends the Gwisin to deal with the child, and then weighs the sins of the poor Kinderbaum, cheating in a severe to annihilate it from existence. Down to Hades, little one. Hinamatsu then cries as my opponent has no hand left to use and cannot get past Ikiryo's terrifying, resting sadly. This puts me in a commanding position for the next turn. Unfortunately, I was unable to stop my opponent from scoring, leaving it 1 point apiece. Turn 3 comes, and I'm cheating for initiative again to get the most out of Ikiryo. So I build in onslaught of Ikiryo's ghostly presence, leading me to apply swift, irreducible cuts to Hinamatsu's armoured hide, dismantling it completely, and then letting me move behind the rock in readiness to score Deliver a Message on Zoraida next turn. The Oberling then uses Firefly to set the dabbing Gwisin on fire, and then Red Jokers to disengage from it. My sleepy Gwisin then murders the Red Cap in a watery rage, and uses Blasphemous Ritual to remove the distracted on the Goryo from this little Kinderbaum's aura. Zoraida then obeys the bad juju, or kettle, to charge in, but unfortunately Black Joker's on one of its hits. She then makes me ditch my much better hand this round with Threads of Fate. Then they resummon the frog once more, as my Goryo, heavily damaged and fearing the kettle's wrath, attacks it first, nabbing the flay trigger on both attacks, allowing me to cheat in the cards to eliminate this dastardly kettle. I was surprised at the lethality of this, and it was really a nail in Zoraida's coffin here. The frog then manages to finish off this Goryo to much joy for my opponent, having whittled it down through a variety of recalls from the Vengeance upgrade and obeying my Gwisin to attack it. Vasilisa then corrects course back into the middle, where a large scrap pile was forming from dead puppets. My pool noodle moves back into the bubble and guides my Gwisin forwards as Bing Bong heads through the middle to aim for the backfield next turn. Kirai then swells spirits to push my ghosts up and drops a scheme near Zoraida for the second point on Deliver a Message later. At the end of turn 3, I lead, having denied my opponent scoring a second vault point by engaging the Oberling at the top, leaving him with only one controlled area, as I score myself in the wide and centre area to make it 2-1 to Kirai at the end of turn 3. Turn 4 arrives and Zoraida is taken down to 3 models. Vasilisa takes command, summoning a Wicked Doll off a scrap marker, taking their total to 4, while my dabbing Gwisin, close to burning to death, takes a chunk out of the Oberling before being wiped off the board by it. My pool noodle moves Bing into striking distance of the far vaults marker as I search for my third point of vaults, and Zoraida starts to put some hurt on Kirai, ensorceling the Wicked Doll that has been summoned. This threading of fate then takes away the Black Joker from my hand and replaces it with a Flurry of Weeks instead. The frog returns to make the party 5 before committing suicide and giving Mamazi a card. Ikiryo then rushes through the wall, delivers a message about the sanctity of life, before Kirai then sunders the Wicked Doll to shreds. Clearly, she didn't get the message either. My Gwisin then drops a ski marker for protected territory, as the engagement range of the nearby enemies is very small, and then Bing Bong then takes the far vault marker for me to make it 5-2 to Kirai, with the Oberling commanding their vault and Zoraida's claim on her middle objective, giving them a second vault point, while I have a point on both of my schemes now and 3 on the strategy. The final turn, and my opponent knows the writing is somewhat on the wall and not in the Ouija board kind of way. They wanted to claim my far vault and try to score either of their schemes to get as many points as possible, but Zoraida seemed a little confused as they obey the noodle to attack Ikiryo and then yeet the big ghost away. The frog returns for the 5th time this game, still no princess kissing its lips, just an angry swamp grandma. Bing Bong and the Goryo interacts for my second protected territory point, and they really can't stop that one now, as the frog then kills my pool noodle, and then themselves. The Oberling then makes a dash all the way to my home vault, reaching it by flying over the ice wall, but Kirai had other plans, and lots of stones to spare. She decides to swirl spirits twice, building in each of the triggers first to move Ikiryo up, and Kirai back to the shelter of the vault, followed by Ikiryo again to attack and then butcher the Oberling, who was left on 2 health prior to this. I then pushed home by dropping a scheme marker near the old lady for deliver a message via my Gwisin, and having denied that point, Vasilisa needed to score elsewhere with the last activation, so walks and then schemes near Kirai, able to block my last raid the vault's point, while scoring the second point of deliver a message. The game ends 7-3 to Kirai, 3 points on vaults, 2 on both deliver a message and protected territory, to my opponent's 2 points on vaults and 1 on deliver a message. Lessons learned. I felt more in my comfort zone this game and against an opponent with a new crew. Their inexperience came back to punish them, and ultimately they regret the traffic jam in the middle, preventing them from moving effectively around the 3rd turn, stopping them from claiming the objectives they needed. They've said that they want to pick up some Silurids next game, so that they can round out their crew a little bit more. Personally, however, I love the list I have here, and Ikiryo continues to reap souls. Even without summoning at all off of chained spirits, the ability to stay alive through well-managed anchor to reality, and get the best triggers with ghostly presence, is a powerful combination. The Whisper is a must-take for Swirling Spirit's setup, and ultimately proves good mobility can win games. Even with a nerf, Sundering is still powerful due to its long range, and relatively easy setup. I want to wish a massive thank you to my opponent for a great game, and also to Imps Gaming for allowing us to play some great games there. If you haven't already and enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell button below. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to me, and I wish you a good time. This is Tabletop Odyssey, guiding spirits since 2024.